So welcome, Abbey friends, to this conversation with our friend Dimas. Welcome, Dimas, to chat. Monday, March the 24th, marks 45 years since the death, the assassination of Archbishop Oscar Romero. And Romero has been an important figure in the life of the church and in the life of our community and in our friend Dimas's life. So I thought we'd have a brief chat and just hear a little bit about what we might learn from Romero. So perhaps, Dimas, before we jump into that, what can you tell us a little bit about your younger self growing up in El Salvador and some exposure you had to Romero in that time?
We can hear Romero every Sunday in all the streets around the country and neighborhoods. And you walk in the street and you hear from house to house that they have the mass service and how what he was telling to people. And you was hearing the mass in your way to the place you go because everybody was hearing him in the radio.
On the radio, yeah, interesting. So his voice was widely known, widespread.
Yes, because it's the only voice that the people can hear in that time, because the news didn't tell anything what happened around the country.
Right.
And Romero have the voice of the people.
We're talking late 70s, early 80s. What's happening in your country?
Well, we have a civil war.
Okay.
Elected, practically, Romero was elected for the right wing of the government over there.
Okay.
Because he was a very conservative in that time in the church, and they said that it could be a good bishop.
Oh, okay.
And they elected them. But behind them was another priest,
okay,
who was his friend.
Yeah.
And he was telling Romero what the problem was in the country and what happened to the workers. But Romero didn't believe.
Right.
But Tilo, that was the one appellative was the priest, and he didn't believe. But when they killed him, the army killed that priest.
Yeah.
He believed what happened.
So there's civil war. The government is at the time is right wing. They essentially draw Romero in to their orbit, and yet he kind of, through this friendship, is awakened to a different reality.
Yeah.
They were also supported financially by another right-wing government.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You were telling me $1 million a day being sent from the Americans to sort of try to put their thumb on the scale of the conflict. And Romero, who is awakened to the reality of the people suffering and hurting, begins to publicly call that out, speak that out loud, yeah?
Yeah, because the thing is, what happened, people were suffering over there, low salaries.
Low salaries, yeah.
No health care,
Yeah.
bad education, no food. And people was working for seasons. And summer season, they did everything. But for winter, they don't have food.
Right.
All that kind of things was the Romero saw and understood that what happened in the country, and these people well, the news don't say nothing. And people start to send letters to Romero and said, this is what happened here. And this is happening, and Romero, in all homilies and the Mass, he was telling people what happened in this place, what happened in that place. And the question, as you said, is the $1 million. That is what they said that was sending for the government and, well, for the army, you know, arms and everything was sent from the United States and to help the army over there. But there was another thing there because sometimes I talk with some soldiers. For example, that cap is very good that you have to say, yeah, we paid this for.
Right.
They said the price that they paid to the army for that. And the thing is, that is the money that the United States sent.
Right.
But where the money goes, stay in the army. It's just big corruption.
Yeah.
And they sell everything to the soldiers.
Yeah.
Soldiers, yeah.
And your experience at that time, seeing the effects of people killed, but you also were telling me that you saw and listened to Romero speak, preach, give the Mass. Give us a little bit of what that was like for you.
Well, it just starts. Yeah, that's true. In those times, everywhere you can walk in the morning and you can find 2, 3, 5 people that were killed there, or the heads in the parks. It was very, I don't know how we survived in that things, but that's what happened. The family of these people, these dead people, they sent to Romero letters. And my son died in this situation, in that place. And they took my son at night last Friday, and he didn't appear.
Yeah.
Or he appeared in this situation, was tortured, and after that he was killed. And that is what Romero telling in the homilies and asking for peace, asking for love, and they tell them, this is not the way to the solution to our problem.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we hear from Romero all the time.
Yeah.
Love one another, that Jesus said.
Yeah.
That's what Jesus is telling us every day. When you read the gospel every day, and Jesus is telling us, don't do this. Love your brothers.
So we've got this icon printed with Romero's words, "Let us not tire of preaching love. It is the force that will overcome the world." And that call to love, that rooting of his message in Jesus' own words, and the call to us, I think, so beautiful and challenging in our time. You were just telling me you were at the last Mass that he gave before he was assassinated. What do you remember of it? What was that like?
Well, was full. I don't know what was the celebration, but he was in the cathedral, and the park is in front, and I was in the park, and I saw him, and he tell to the police and all the army there that don't kill your brother. He said, I don't remember exactly what I'm going to tell you. I ordered you, don't kill. That's the God word.
Wow.
I ordered you, don't obey your superiors
Yeah.
when they give the order to kill another one.
Mm.
And in that moment, I thought myself, Romero, they're gonna kill you. They,
And I understand it wasn't a grand cathedral, right, on the
No,
Monday.
no.
It was a little chapel at a
little
hospital.
chapel,
And
one
he was
hospital.
visiting people presumably and giving mass.
Yeah, they have they live there because
Okay.
there was sisters. I don't remember the order.
Yeah.
But there is a sister
Okay.
that they have a place there.
Yeah.
It's not a big,
Yeah.
it's a small
Yeah.
church, can I say, or chapel. And out the street, there was a sniper
Okay.
in a car.
Yeah.
But nobody knows that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And from that place you have the opportunity to go over there. You're gonna see that.
Yeah.
There's the street, and you can see the altar at the end,
Uh-huh.
and the door open. The door always are open, and you can see that. Most in that service, he get the hands up with the bread, and then he received the shot. And something very hard for the believers,
Yeah.
because Romero always were talking about love. Love each other. And he showed us when he walked with his people, the poor people. He went to visit different places, the different village, poor village, and in town, the places that are cardboard houses. He get with that people. He talked with them. He talked with the old. He talked with children, people who was dying. That is what he is a saint, because he gave his life for us. Like now, we live in a dark time because we didn't know what's going to happen with the problem with the United States. It's a dark time.
Yeah.
What happened? Everybody,
Yeah.
as you told me, is asking, what?
Yeah.
No, we have to talk about peace and love. What we can do in that way? How we can change that problem that we have in a different way? It's not in a way of fight.
Yes.
It's love.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jesus talked to us.
Yeah.
That's Romero talked to us.
Yeah.
In the reality.
Yeah.
We have to put that words in our reality.
Yeah.
That's what was some word, as he said, if you put one cheek, or you hit one cheek, they're going to hit you the both cheeks. That is it's the things that happen is we call to the violence, because violence call more violence.
More violence. Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably could be his words
Yes.
for us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we are very hard when somebody tells you something. No, you have to.
Yeah, and I think it's powerful because I think there's a strong temptation, right? If we feel like we're getting punched, to just punch back harder, right?
Yeah.
And that's very human, and we understand if we have siblings or something. But I think for us to saturate ourselves in this tradition that says that, that's not the only tool that we have, actually. Well, that's a good word maybe for us to wrap up on. So I'm very grateful to you, Dimas, for this conversation, this time. Gratitude for the lives of all the saints who've come before, who we can learn from. And gratitude especially for Oscar Romero for his life and legacy and words and witness. Well, thank you again, and thanks to folks for joining us for this little chat and conversation. We'll do some more of these, and hope people continue to have a blessed Lent.